Do that. So we thank you for being out here today, coming out and joining us. So I'm going to turn this over to Thomas.
Thank you everyone for coming again. And I think also as he was talking about the reaching out to African Americans and Native Americans, we also want to recruit Native African Americans who are within the community, because we want to take advantage of this university that is very close to them. There's a lot of savings on their part for achieving their educational and achieving their career. So we also want to extend this invitation also to the parents, to the community leaders, that we would like them to enjoy the opportunities we have here, attend college here, achieve their career. We have an excellent technological programs here on campus. So we want them to take opportunity advantage of this. So for those who want to transfer, they can come here for 2 years, and then after that they can transition to another university. So we want to take opportunity to remind you all that we value the presence of the African Americans and Native Americans and all the multicultural diversity we have around the campus. So at this time, we would like to have the Black National Anthem, and he's going to lead us on this. Carla Parker is going to lead us on this. All stand, Wilson is an alumni of this university, and so they continue to be proud of our university. And he's a key person helping us in the community with grant driven. We really appreciate their help here on our campus, reaching out to the community, letting them know what's going on on our campus. So I would like to turn this over to her so she can tell us about the community, what's going on, how we can work together, and how we can proceed on together. So we value our presence here today. So, Brian, you have your time.
Thank you very much. I am so pleased to be here today. I was really excited when Brenda asked me. I appreciate Dr. Clavinish and the staff that's here. It's always pleasant for me to come back on this campus. Thomas, thank you. And this program brings back a lot of memories for me because back in 1970, I think 70 or 71, we started the first Black Student Society. And I was involved in that, and we're doing the same things I'm assuming that you're doing with your group right now. So we are pleased that you are carrying on that tradition, and we certainly appreciate the fact that you are celebrating this month in this way at this time. This is a very pivotal time for not only Okmulgee, but for our nation and for our world. We have leadership in place now that recognizes the humanity of each of us. And we need to build on that, and each of us can do it as our president wants us to do right here where we are. So if we can appreciate each other for who we are and all of our gifts and talents that we have, we can make the change that we need to make this nation the nation that God intended it to be. There are a lot of things that are going on in Okmulgee. We are diligently searching for volunteers for the many programs that are about. We're starting a back-to-school program that will begin next fall. We have a summer program. It's called the Okmulgee Summer Multicultural Enrichment Program. It's an all-volunteer effort. We would appreciate having students to come and help us in that. We participate also in the Miss Black Okmulgee Scholarship Pageant that we just finished. We would love to have some help from some of the students on this campus to come and help us with those two programs. As you all can see from the buildings and things that are happening in Okmulgee, we're getting our first Holiday Inn that's being built on the house. Isn't that exciting? I'm so excited. I can't wait. My husband and I are going to go out. and have a little honeymoon out to the Holiday Inn. But things are moving. We can just feel the energy. Things are moving. So I can tell from this group that you all are in tune, and that the administration here is on board, and we just want to continue moving forward and upward. And we appreciate the opportunity to come and to speak to you. And anything that I can do at any time, Thomas, just give me a call. I think a year or two ago, or right after you came here, you said, we need to talk, and we haven't talked yet. But we're going to have to get together so that we can coordinate some efforts. Thank you very much.
It applause to Brian Wilson. He's very happy with that and reaching out to the community. So at this time now, I would like to invite our keynote speaker. He is, of course, Professor Larry Hawk. He is from Dallas. He's from Richland College in Dallas. And he has done a lot of extensive work. He's been teaching speech communication for over 35 years. And he's involved with other things in dealing with the marriage and family counseling. He's also a licensed professional counselor and certified instructor for 5 Harvard leadership development programs. He's also served for 7 years in the 5 Harvard in the National Board of Directors. And he's a distinguished advisor for the Texas region. And then Hawk has also received CAS Distinguished Advisor Award and considered excellence award for the Texas region. And he's also he's the recipient of the Excellence Award. So I would like to take this time to turn over to Professor Larry Hawk, and he's going to share with us his expertise in African American and all the things we know that's going on around.
to begin. I will tell you that I'm very privileged to be here, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. And I have some prepared statements, but as I listened to the introductions, I came in earlier and I heard the wonderful music being played and the songs being sung, and where I was a little bit anticipatory or a little bit anxious, not because of speaking publicly, for I do that often. However, I was trying to get my composure, and every time I speak, I spend 10 or 15 minutes alone, just getting in the zone, preparing myself to speak. One of your students, I think his name is T.J. Stryker. That just sounds like an unrealistic name. It just sounds like it's a very theatrical name. I happened to run into T.J. Would you mind standing so the others who don't know you will recognize you? And you have some interesting facilities here in that the public facilities are divided upon, there's only by an opening, and if you make a left instead of a right, you might go to the wrong place. Well, I was coming out of the facility, fortunately, I was in there alone, just getting my composure, and as I came outside, I ran into TJ, who said to me, Mr. Holt, are you the speaker for today? And I said, yes, I am. He said, well, are you anxious or nervous about that? And I said, of course not. TJ, I speak to hundreds of thousands of individuals annually, and so it really is no big deal. And he said, well, if you're not nervous, why are you in the ladies' room? Well, the preparation of my trial is not just because I've embarrassed myself again, but rather I'm prone to honesty, and so let me tell you I'm a little bit anxious. I am somewhat excited about being here, and a little bit anxious, not because, again, of the opportunity to speak, but suddenly when you have 100, 200, 300 people who are there to hear every word that you speak, who is there to critique who you are, and just by the sound of my voice, I know that you're asking, who is this man, and where did he come from, and what is his background, and on and on and on. Let me tell you, and I think it's best that I just be myself. Is that okay? Thank you. So in order to do that, let me try and tell you. What you hear vocally is what I was born with. You want to call it discomfort for you, but my gift, my speaking ability, is strictly divine. I had nothing to do with it. As a child, I spoke this way. I'm a native-born Texan from Greenville, Texas. That's 48 miles northeast of Dallas. But as a young man, I had this, whatever it is that I have, is the quality of my voice, and it's always been. So let me just tell you that so we can get that out of the way. You don't start wondering about who I am. I'm also a very traditionalist, I'll tell you that. I am the father of two wonderful, lovely daughters, and probably the most outstanding 6-year-old grandson that the world has known.
Oh, yeah, right. I got one. I don't think so.
I appreciate you having one, but yours not nearly. The other thing that I will tell you is that I have been married to the same woman for 38 years.
Bless your heart.
We plan to be married to her for 38 more years. And into that, we plan to renew for another 38. So let me tell you that I'm here because I am interested. And it's rather serendipitous that I should choose this topic to speak with you about today, because as I was touring the campus and I was looking at the display that is in, not the library yet, I think it's still in here, this building, the African American display. Is it in this building? Yes. Okay, thank you. I have been all over this place. I have no idea where I am now. This is Oklahoma City, right?
No.
Oh, whatever you want. Okay. So that was a joke. You just put it in. All right, let me tell you working. And it may not work, but if you know the backdrop, that means okay? So let me just tell you that we're here today, obviously, to celebrate and to bring to the consciousness of so very many the contributions and the accomplishments of the African American community. February is often Black History Month. It is mixed emotions for me, for I am excited that we are finding a time to recognize individuals who have made outstanding contributions to our country. I'm a little bit in it, though, that we choose only 1 month of the year to recognize the outstanding contribution of the people who were intimately involved in the creation of this great nation. This year's theme for Black History Month has been the quest for Black citizenship in the Americas. In the Americas. It's a timely and appropriate subject. However, my hope is that this awareness will become a part of our daily lives, not just a theme in the month of February. It is my hope that the words I speak to you today will bring to each of you a very meaningful experience and serve to remind you of your personal responsibility to live your experience, and more importantly, to recognize the power that exists in each of you. You are a significant member of the Americas, and of America particularly. You are a part of a tapestry, tightly woven together and rich in every hue, which adds to the beauty and the fabric of the American society. If we were to examine the rich and historic contributions of our ancestry and our recent past, we would literally be here for hundreds of years. Then what is it that transpires us? What is it that makes us and brings us to this one thing that we call African American experience? Some of you are here will not be able to relate to what I say because of your background and your ethnicity. Others of you will only be able to relate to what I say because of the oral history, which is a very rich part of the African American culture. But some of you will be able to relate because you lived the experience that I'm about to talk about. See, I will tell you that I graduated from a predominantly Black high school, and we said predominantly Black because that's what the law required us to say politically, but there is no one in my high school who was not Black. So, no joke. Okay? I don't care where you go, there's always one who has to up the speed here. And what is your name, sir? John Phillips. Probably one of the greatest American composers of all time. So pull another one on me. Exactly. That might be appropriate. As I said, others of you will only be able to relate because of your experience. Whatever your background or whatever your experience, we have made significant contributions and sacrifices to make the accomplishments that we've had and to get an understanding of what those accomplishments are. But for those of you who are students today, you're on the threshold of a new frontier, and your journey is just beginning. We would love to continue the leadership, develop the skills to technically lead our world, get us through some very difficult situations that we're facing in America. Problems like global warming, human rights, fuel prices, and without question, water conservation. When we look around us, it seems as if we're plagued by so many problems and so many circumstances that affect our society both environmentally and socially. Just a few days ago, I heard someone reference it earlier, we were celebrating probably one of the greatest historic moments in American history when we elected President Barack Obama. And you will notice that when I make reference to him, I will reference him always as the president, not the first Black president. As I said, attending an all-predominantly black high school before the 1964 Civil Rights Act was enacted, I can honestly say that I never dreamt that we would have had this experience in my lifetime. What is surprising is that my parents did. A generation very far removed from the kind of experience I was having, because when I went to college, I did go to my first integrated school, and I can honestly tell you that I was able to compete academically because my high school teachers had done their duty. I heard people talk about, oh, that the schools were inferior. But let me tell you that I got a superior education. When I went out to A&M my first year, I was able to compete with students who were from very, very large high schools. And I will tell you there was an adjustment period. There was an adjustment period. My English skills were good, I could write effectively, but high school for me came relatively easily. I didn't have to do a lot of study in high school because I was blessed to come from a family of very well-read, well-spoken, educated, self-educated family. When I started school, I was able to read because I'm from a family of 12 children. To the same mother and father, don't get excited with the same mother and father. But each of us could read and do our simple multiplication tables through 5 before we could start school. Because during the summer, we had school. The older ones would teach us, and then we would teach the younger ones, and it went on and on and on and on. So my experience there was very, very important. But my parents taught us to dream, and to dream big. As Langston Hughes once said, hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. That is what I want to talk with you about today, the power of dreams. It's a lesson I learned from my parents, as I stated earlier, and I'm reminded of a student of mine who was willing to dream. His name was Jarmesh. Jarmesh was originally from Zimbabwe and came to the United States having won the lottery to enter the country. He left his family, his friends, his culture, and everything that was familiar to him to come to the United States with only $50 in his pocket, not knowing a soul, not knowing what he was going to do or how he was going to do, but he had a dream. His dream was to get an education. I first met Jarmesh in Phi Theta Kappa, the Honor Society for Junior College students. And his first time attending the meeting, he wasn't interested in joining Phi Theta Kappa. His first question is, what can it do for me? I'll honestly tell you, I hope he would join. Because I was looking for students who were interested in the organization, and the purpose of the organization, and giving back to the community. But Jarmesh joined anyway, and it was probably one of the best experiences I had. Jarmesh graduated from Richmond last May with a 4.0. He is now at Cornell University on a full academic scholarship, seeking a degree in business, and will graduate next May. Jarmesh was able to do this because he had a dream. Dreams are important, but there's something about dreams that we seem to not understand. We don't understand a whole lot about things, honestly. I see people like Whitney who invented the cotton gin. Maybe we don't think of him as a dreamer, but he was. He left New England and headed south in 1792. He had no idea that within the next several months he would invent a machine that would profoundly transform the course of American history. Being a recent graduate from Yale, Whitney had been given thought to becoming a lawyer. But like many college students, after finishing his degree, he was in debt. And guess what his first priority was? A job. So he left Massachusetts and assumed a private tutoring position in Georgia, on a plantation, by the way. There quickly learned that southern planters were in desperate need of a way to make things grow and make cotton profitable. Long, stable cotton, which is easy to separate from the boll, grew along the coastline. But that sticky green seed that was so time-consuming to pull out of the boll was the typical cotton that was being grown. But it was encouraged to find a way we can never find it when we need it. And so he set out to stake a way to find a way to establish a way to get the seed from that cotton. Well, he invented a small machine after 7 months and received a patent for that. He was hoping to get rich from this, but somehow life had other plans for him. When he received the patent from the U.S. Patent Department, the patent was good for 14 years. Today, any patent is good for 20 years, and he hoped to reap a great profit from the experience, but it was not so. His employer provided an opportunity for him and provided the seed money to get that all started. And there was one sentence he wrote to his father in a letter, and he said, "Father, 'tis strictly said by those who knowing anything about it, I shall make a fortune by it. But patenting an invention and making a profit from it can be very, very different." His business partner, Phineas Miller, ought to produce a gin, or as many gins as they possibly could, to make as much money as they possibly could, to get as much distribution as they possibly could. But suddenly, the farmers were a little bit miffed. They were having to be charged a tax in order to gin the cotton. And herein lies the problem. See, whenever you have a dream, just be aware that everyone isn't excited about your dream.
That's right. No, that's right.
Because there were 12 of us, my parents taught us very early that we should not have a crawfish or crayfish theory, where you have a whole bunch of them in the bucket, and when one gets up just before getting out, the others will reach up and pull him down. Well, this was the experience that Eli Whitney had with this cotton gin, and things began to turn for the worse, and he was not able to make that a very profitable venture. But what he did learn from that experience was that in developing the gin, he suddenly realized that it was a very effective way to mass produce things. And so he took the same kind of technology and learned to replicate muskets by creating a system where they had interchangeable parts. This is what made him wealthy. You know, but he was not going to be defeated because he had others who were trying to pull him away from his dreams. As I look at the expression in your faces, I see an intense love. And I realize that this world is filled with hope. For you are aware of, you may not be aware of the power that you have, but you have the power to transform yourself and the lives of others. It's the same power that Eli Whitney had, what Martin Luther King Jr. had, what Rosa Parks had. Probably the best example of personal power is that of an infant child. Now, I will admit, I consider myself to be relatively well-read, relatively well-spoken, and I'm reasonably intelligent. However, when I'm in the presence of a baby, I become a babbling idiot. I do faces, I make sounds, and it's a little bit embarrassing to try to tell you what some of them are, so I won't. Regardless of the pain and the difficulty we have in our lives, when we're in the presence of the baby, we somehow brings joy to our lives, a smile to our face, and it causes us to forget the pain for just a moment. However, the baby is unaware of its power. It can change the deep pain in our heart to a blissful joy in our soul. That is what is it that lies in the heart of a baby? And what is it that lies in your heart? What is it that's at our core that causes us to be changed? Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "Let us not forget that what lies behind us, what lies before us, is incomparable to what lies within us." Regrettably, some of us are like that infant, just totally unaware of our personal power. It is sad to see power for good go unused and wasted. It's tragic to see power used in our lives that is used for evil. When we are unaware of our own personal power, to hurt others, we find ourselves criticizing, complaining, and lamenting and making cruel remarks to people. I'm reminded of a story of a husband and wife who went into a pet shop to buy a pet for their son. And as they walked into the pet shop, at the beginning of the entrance of the pet shop, there was a parrot on a perch. The man and woman walked into the store. They walked 2 or 3 steps into the store, and the parrot said, "Hey, mister. Hey, mister." The man wasn't sure who the parrot was talking with, and so he turned and said, "What?" The parrot said, "Your wife is ugly." The man was beside himself. Anger, asked to speak to the manager. The manager came out. He told him what had happened. The manager goes to the spot, takes the parrot off of his perch. Goes to the storage room in the back. And all you could hear was thump, thump. He hit the parrot's head against the wall, saying, "Never talk to the customers like that. You are here to greet them, but never, never say such things to the customers." Now, for those of you who are animal rights activists, even though the feathers were flying, the parrot was a bird. So, the parrot and puts it back on the perch. The couple finished their shopping, didn't buy anything. He was still miffed and upset that the parrot had called his wife ugly. And so they were leaving the store. The parrot said, "Hey, mister." "Hey, mister." The man looks and said, "What?" "You know what." Example. So it's important for us to be aware of our power. What distinguishes us from stones is our capacity to act. What distinguishes us from other animals is our compassion, our ability to act willfully. See, merely to be is to have potential, but action is potential realized. It is our action that causes and recreates who we are and the world in which we live. Our power is to be used, not abused. It is not for controlling others, but for disciplining ourselves. We can gain control through self-discipline. Our personal power is the wind beneath our wings. It enables us to soar to new heights. As a public speaker, do I have power? Not without an audience. If I were a surgeon, would I have power? Not without patience. You see, power is transactional. We need each other to have power. It is a power that is meant to be exchanged. We need each other to share our power. And power is never competitive. See, that's what the interim government of Roth needs to understand today. Whereas President Woodrow Wilson said once, there must not be a balance of power, but a community of power. Not organized rivalries, but an organized peace. You may be asking yourself, well, what does this have to do, and how can I manifest my own personal power and gain control over my own destiny? We can begin by discarding limiting beliefs. When we were children, it might have been appropriate to say, "I can." But now, as adults, young adults, it's time to recognize, "I can." In fact, it's time to go beyond "I can" and say, "I will."
No, that's right.
After all, to say "can" is merely to state you have the potential, but to say "will" is to take the first step in actualizing that potential by taking action. Until she was 37 years old, Phyllis Diller, many of you young ones will never know who that is. She was a comedian. She was a cleaning woman. But after reading Claude Bristol's book, The Magic of Believing, she let go of those limiting beliefs and started thinking, I will, and she did. You are here today at OSU because of your ability to think and to take action. To reclaim your personal power, you need to apply critical thinking. You can do this by being skeptical and asking yourself questions about even your own thoughts. Are you unhappy? Are you unhappy with the current state of affairs? If so, ask yourself, is it because I'm powerless, or is it because I think I am powerless? As a psychotherapist, I can tell you, if every client that comes in to see me who's depressed, I know nothing about them, but I know why they're depressed. I may never have seen them a day in my life, but I can tell you why they have the diagnosis of depression. You see, you cannot be depressed unless you think depressing thoughts. By the same token, you can't be happy and be depressed. You can't think positive thoughts and be depressed. The simple biochemical reaction transforms our whole thinking and thus our being. So what happens to people who say they can't do something? They limit themselves and thus they can't. But what about those individuals who say I can and look for possible solutions? Guess what? They find them. You need not define yourself by the color of your skin or the texture of your hair, but follow the examples and dare to dream, and you'll find that your life will change. Feed yourself with positive thoughts, recognize your own personal power, and set out to accomplish whatever it is that you desire for yourself. If you're not yet where you want to be or dream of becoming, don't give up the dream. Know that you might have to change, and that can be hard. Change involves effort, and it's time of discomfort. There are times when we need to embrace discomfort to realize our personal power. Life is not a walk in the park. It is a walk in the bushes. As we move forward, we get entangled in thorns and thistles and stumbles and rocks. We get scratched and we get cut, and we squeeze through tight places. But the exhilaration and the joy of the journey brings that satisfaction and makes it eminently worthwhile. But it's not good enough for us to enjoy the journey. We need to take someone along with us so that we can enjoy and they can enjoy the journey as well. I want to offer a defense for dreamers as a source of personal power. Why are dreamers often criticized? Why are they often harmed? Have we come to some understanding about what it means to dream? I have come to realize that dreamers create a roughness in the bosom of those who are addicted to business as usual. There are people who are stuck where they are. Can't change, don't want to change, not going to change. There are people who suffer from psycho-spiritual disease that I call generational egocentrism. You see, young people think that the world is going to end, is never going to end. And the old believe the world is going to end with them. So there are people who are lazy, people who like to ride, and that's all. There are folks who are on the top and want to stay on the top because they're familiar with the top, and when someone comes along dreaming, it threatens their well-being and threatens the status quo. Dreamers have that restless again in their bosom, and they keep on changing things. They keep on doing new things and greater things, and therefore, folks who want business as usual, who are complacent with things as they are disturbed by the dreamers. Not only the protectors of the dream, dreamers are faced with problems by the non-dreamer. To some degree, we're all discontented with people who refuse to look forward, to have a forward thought, to expect better from them. Well, I think that dreams create restlessness and disturb protectors of the status quo. The other thing that I think to recognize about dreamers is that dreams make dreamers. Dreamers don't create dreams. You see, it's the dream that makes the dreamer. That source of personal power is within the dream. You see, you come into the world with a dream. It mixed in at conception. And you come into the world dreaming. Dreamers, I said, don't make dreams. It is dreams that create the dreamer. We have heard probably one of the greatest speakers of all times, and that of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we'll hear that speech again today by one of our young African-American men. But Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, I have a dream. Listen closely. For this is probably one of the greatest misquotes of the century. Even our Ignorance of Dreams shows you the process and the power of dreams. George Bernard Shaw said, some men see things that are and ask why. I dream things that never were and ask why not. But even those of us who engage in dreams, when we're asleep, don't understand the power of dreams. Have you ever had a dream? I was awakened because I was scared. You recognize it was a dream, and you're still scared. You can't overcome the fear that was in the dream, and yet you knew it was a dream. See, dreams make people. People don't create dreams. We have to realize that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., when he said, I have a dream, is a great misquote. For you see, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't have a dream. The dream had him. See, when the dream has you, it compels you. Your compassion can do nothing more than to do that thing that is in you. Oh, his mother didn't want him to do what he did. Papa King didn't want him to do it. His wife didn't want him to do it. But you know, he couldn't do anything else because he was possessed by the dream. I tell you, it's the dream that creates the dreamer. Dreams have a way to bypass the brain and go straight to the heart. You see, dreams normally don't make sense. I got proof of that. Each of us, as I said earlier, had a dream, and we knew it was a dream. We tried to rationalize it. We tried to understand it. We tried to analyze it. And every time we did, even if it's the same dream that's repeated over and over again, we have the same emotional reaction. You see, the dream bypasses the brain and goes straight to the heart. Now, here we are. See, some of you are here today are dreamers. You're doing things and studying things and thinking things that you never thought you'd think. I can honestly tell you, from a family of 12 children, going to bed hungry many times, I never dreamt that I'd be standing in front of you today. But my parents instilled something in me that they called a dream and dared me to dream big. The reason you don't understand it, whatever it is that you're dreaming, is because you can't comprehend that there's something intricately and intimately involved in who you are that drives you to do what it is that you do. It might not make sense. It may never make sense, but it will drive you to do incredible things. So you see, there's a need for us to have dreamers among us, people who use their personal power for hope, for a nation of lovers instead of haters. Speak of an equality and harmony rather than for all people, not just some. We can make a difference. We dare to dream. So I beg you to dream, and with that dream, achieve and share. For the measure of any person is not what he is able to do by himself, but what he shares with others. Someone said, dream the impossible dream. Well, let me assure you there are no impossible dreams. For if it can be conceived, it can be achieved. Dreams are only realities that are not yet. So use your personal power and continue to dream. I began this quote with this little message with a quote from one of Hughes. And so let me give you another one as it refers to dreams. And he encouraged us to hold fast to dreams. For when dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen with snow. So, in keeping with the topic of this year's Black History theme, the quest for black citizenship in the Americas, it is important that we recognize the contributions and the sacrifices of our citizens, men and women who gave their lives for our right to reclaim citizenship right here in America. And one songwriter said, "This is my country, land of my birth. This is my country. It's the grandest on earth. And I pledge thee my allegiance, America the brave, for this is my country to have and to hold." These contributions were recognized, eloquently spoken, and only the one great African-American orator could say, in that of Frederick Douglass. And in closing, he said, "Once let the black man get into his person the brass letter U.S. Let him get an eagle on his button, and a musket on his shoulder, and bullets in his pocket. There is no power on earth that can deny him that he has earned the right to citizenship." Thank you.
Well, this is just a small token of our appreciation. Larry and I go back a little way.
Anyway, I want to thank all of you that are here for coming to this event. It is significant. I want to thank Thomas and Kevin and Bruce and Rayanne and Grant and TJ and whomever else that had an opportunity, had a part in putting this event together. And wasn't the speaker marvelous? I thought it was. You know, just a couple real quick comments, because a lot of the discussion today parallels the challenge that this country faces, parallels the challenge that Abraham Lincoln faced when he became president of the United States. It was probably up to that point in time, probably the most challenging time that the United States had faced. And his challenge was keeping the Union together and not allowing the Union to divide itself. And he did that with the generals because he was not a military person. And so he had to replace a number of generals because they were disloyal and didn't really think that he had the mind to figure out how to keep the Union together, which he did. And then during his presidency, one of the most significant things that I think changed the course of history in the United States, because he thought about it for a long time, he wrote several drafts, and then one day he said to his cabinet, "Today's the day, the Emancipation of Proclamation," and that was a significant event. So to follow that through to the 60s with Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy, and I know there's lots of others, to what we did in November when we elected President Barack Obama, this country has not faced a bigger challenge again since that time, I believe, that Abraham Lincoln was president. So historians today will rank, by and large, unanimously, President Abraham Lincoln as the best president the United States has had. I'm anxious to see, because I'm optimistic and confident in the future, that I think in a few years, historians will rank President Obama right there with President Lincoln.
Thank you, President, for the wonderful comments. We really appreciate you for being here today and be able to be part of this process today. We are very thankful for everyone that came today. But before that, we have some music here for you guys. So we still have some music. Feel free. We still have food left there. We need one to get food. You can get anything else. We have some music here going on. We hope you enjoy that.
The basic message that you were trying to get across in your speech, I would appreciate it, because I'll write a little story.
Okay. The basic message is that we need to create a nation of individuals who are willing to dream, to have a vision that is unheard of, and have the courage to live out that vision.
Okay.
The visions that we had, or the great mentors that we had in Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and the like.
Excuse
Bless
me,
you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. They were great for their time, but we have a new time with new challenges where it may not be along the racial lines. We still have to find ways to deal with human rights in the world. We have to find individuals who are willing to dream of ways to resolve the global warming problem, to deal with the water conservation, to deal with all of the environmental issues, as well as the social issues around the world.
Just one.
Go right ahead.
Hold this for you. We can take a picture with the president.
Oh, okay.
Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you.
So, is there anything else you'd like to add about your speech today, or possibly about the group of students you had here today, the community?
Well, I'm not from the area, so I don't know who comprised the audience, honestly. I know that there are some community leaders, but I'm not sure. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what percentage were students, but percentage were community leaders.
Okay.
Bruce, could you give some general idea?
I can talk to him later. We work together, so
okay.
that's just fine.
Yeah, we're just trying to.
Yeah, I can ask him on
I don't
who
know
was in
the distribution.
audience.
Who was in the audience? How many were students? How many were community leaders?
About half and half.
Of community and students? That's great.
Yeah, we had, or maybe more 60-40. We had probably more students, but we had several faculty and several staff. And then we had several folks from the community as well, like Rayanne and Sandy and Grant. And his wife was here, and some of them had to. I mean, they were here for a while and then had to leave.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a good crowd.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a good crowd. And we brought some extra chairs in too. So,
okay.
So
what do you teach at Richland? Is that what it's called? Okay. What do you teach there?
I teach human development, which is a cognitive processing class, and also speech communications.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you do a lot of speeches? Are you on the speaking circuit?
Yes, I do.
What topics do you speak on?
I speak on marriage and family, diversity training, and that is the whole diversity issue, gender, race and ethnicity, all of the gender issues.
Okay. All right.
You heard what I say in Nash?
Yes. Okay. Great. Is there anything else you would like to add from your speech that maybe we didn't talk about a few minutes ago? Because I've got the tape of the speech, I can go over it. But if there's anything you'd like to point out, or
the only other thing that I would probably say is that, as odd as it may seem, I really do that dreams are infused in us at inception. It's going to be a really weird concept, but that's why I believe that the dream possesses us rather than we possessing the dream. That is why some people who have come from the most meager backgrounds rise above their circumstances and do incredible things. It's not that they do the incredible things, it's the thing that is in them that drives them to do that thing that's incredible.
That's amazing. amazing. Okay.
See, I think that's true for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's no explanation for why I would have attained the successes that I have obtained coming from a family of 12 children. We were poor. My parents worked very hard to provide for us. But all of us wanted something more than what we had, and it wasn't that we wanted to outdo our parents. It's just that we were driven to succeed. I finished my 2 degrees in 4.5 years. Not that bright, but I'm disciplined.
Okay.
You know, I know how to focus, and I know how to set a goal and work toward it.
Okay.
Wasn't distracted by all the other things that were around me, because I knew that I had a mission. Wasn't quite sure what it was, but I knew I had a mission. And I knew that in order for me to obtain that mission, I had to have the skills to be in a position when the opportunities were available to take advantage of them.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Achieving
Thank you.
your goal.
Well,
so.
there's more to be done.
More?
There's
Sure.
more to be done.
Sure.
But thank you.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you very much for coming and for giving me this interview, and I'll let you go.
Okay. Anyway, I want to thank all of you that are here for coming to this event. It is significant. I want to thank Thomas and Kevin and Bruce and Rayanne and Grant and TJ and whomever else that had an opportunity, had a part in putting this event together. And wasn't the speaker marvelous? I thought it was. You know, just a couple real quick comments, because a lot of the discussion today parallels the challenge that this country faces, parallels the challenge that Abraham Lincoln faced when he became president of the United States. It was probably up to that point in time, probably the most challenging time that the United States had faced. And his challenge was keeping the Union together and not allowing the Union to divide itself. And he did that with the generals because he was not a military person. And so he had to replace a number of generals because they were disloyal and didn't really think that he had the mind to figure out how to keep the Union together, which he did. And then during his presidency, one of the most significant things that I think changed the course of history in the United States, because he thought about it for a long time, he wrote several drafts, and then one day he said to his cabinet, today's the day, the Emancipation Proclamation, and that was a significant event. So to follow that through to the 60s with Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy, and I know there's lots of others, to what we did in November when we elected President Barack Obama, this country has not faced a bigger challenge again since that time, I believe, that Abraham Lincoln was president. So historians today will rank, by and large, unanimously, President Abraham Lincoln as the best president the United States has had. I'm anxious to see, because I'm optimistic and confident in the future, that I think in a few years, historians will rank President Obama right there with President Lincoln. Yeah. So
thank you, President, for the wonderful comments. We really appreciate you for being here today and be able to be part of this process today. We are very thankful for everyone that came today. But before that, we have some music here for you guys. So we still have some music. Feel free. We still have food left there. We need one to get food. You can get anything else. We have some music here going on. We hope you enjoy that.
The basic message that you were trying to get across in your speech, I would appreciate it, because I'll write a little story.
Okay. The basic message is that we need to create a nation of individuals who are willing to dream, to have a vision that is unheard of, and have the courage to live out that vision. the visions that we had, or the great mentors that we had in Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and the like.
Excuse
Bless
me,
you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. They were great for their time, but we have a new time with new challenges where it may not be along the racial lines. We still have to find ways to deal with human rights in the world. We have to find individuals who are willing to dream of ways to resolve the global warming problem, to deal with the water conservation, to deal with all of the environmental issues, as well as the social issues around the world.
Just one.
Go right ahead.
Hold this for you. We can take a picture with the president.
Oh, okay.
Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you.
So, is there anything else you'd like to add about your speech today, or possibly about the group of students you had here today, the community?
Well, I'm not from the area, so I don't know who comprised the audience, honestly. I know that there are some community leaders, but I'm not sure. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what percentage were students, but percentage were community leaders.
Okay.
Bruce, could you give some general idea?
I can talk to him later. We work together, so
okay.
that's just fine.
Yeah, we're just trying to.
Yeah, I can ask him on
I don't know the distribution. Who was in the audience? How many were students? How many were community leaders?
About half and half.
Of community and students? That's great.
Yeah, we had, or maybe more 60-40. We had probably more students, but we had several faculty and several staff. And then we had several folks from the community as well.
Okay.
Like Rayanne and Sandy and Grant, and his wife was here. And some of them had to, they were here for a little while and then had to leave.
Yeah, okay.
But,
it was a good crowd.
Yeah,
okay.
It was a good crowd. And we brought some extra chairs in too. So,
okay.
So,
what do you teach at Richland? Is that what it's called? Okay, what do you teach there?
I teach human development, which is a cognitive processing class, and also speech communications.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you do a lot of speeches? Are you on the speaking circuit?
Yes, I do.
What topics do you speak on?
I speak on marriage and family, diversity training, and that is that whole diversity issue, gender, race and ethnicity, all of the gender issues.
Okay. All right.
You heard I saying that?
Yes. Okay. Great. Is there anything else you would like to add from your speech that maybe we didn't talk about a few minutes ago? Because I've got the tape of the speech, I can go over it. But if there's anything you'd like to point out, or
the only other thing that I would probably would say is that, as odd as it may seem, I really do that dreams are infused in us at inception. It's going to be a really weird concept, but that's why I believe that the dream possesses us rather than we possessing the dream. That is why some people who have come from the most meager backgrounds rise above their circumstances and do incredible things. It's not that they do the incredible things, it's the thing that is in them that drives them to do that thing that's incredible.
That's amazing. Okay.
See, I think that's true for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no explanation for why I would have attained the successes that I have obtained coming from a family of 12 children. We were poor. My parents worked very hard to provide for us. But all of us wanted something more than what we had, and it wasn't that we wanted to outdo our parents. It's just that we were driven to succeed. I finished my 2 degrees in 4.5 years. Not that bright, but I'm disciplined.
Okay.
I know how to focus, and I know how to set a goal and work toward it.
Okay.
Wasn't distracted by all the other things that were around me, because I knew that I had a mission. Wasn't quite sure what it was, but I knew I had a mission. And I knew that in order for me to obtain that mission, I had to have the skills to be in a position when the opportunities were available to take advantage of them.
Wonderful. congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
To
Thank
achieving
you.
your goals.
Well,
so.
there's more to be done.
More?
There's
Sure.
more to be done.
Sure.
But thank you.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you very much for coming and for giving me this interview, and I'll let you go. So